Hello, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenos dias, wherever you may be, whatever part of your day you are in. We are so glad that you are here to be with us for the PEN International Women's Writers Committee, Free the Word, Poetry Gone Viral, our global poetry Zoom. And we are so grateful for this miracle of technology that allows us to reclaim our community and our ability to share beauty and share this time together, even in this time of being apart. And yesterday it was pointed out to me that this is beautifully ecological. We have a low carbon footprint and very, very powerful voices running on the energy of being together. So we begin. For all our guests today who are new to PEN International, we have a very powerful tradition of starting our events with the empty chair. And in this empty chair, we begin by having an act of remembrance. We remember that we who are free are privileged to be free. We're privileged to write, we're privileged to dream, we're privileged to be here together, and we must not take that for granted ever. And therefore we remember and we honor writers who do not have those privileges. A writer in prison, a journalist who has been disappeared, or as in Mexico, a journalist who has been murdered. Murdered for the act of writing truth to power. So today, as we gather, our empty chair is filled by Gulmira Imin, a Uyghur poet and writer, a writer who has lost all those freedoms. We may not hear her voice, but today we will see her face. Gulmira Imin is a 42-year-old Uyghur poet, a writer, a government worker, and a website moderator who is spending her life in Xinjiang prison, one of the harshest in the world. In 2000, she graduated from Xinjiang University, published poems and short stories on websites, became married, had a life. She became the moderator for the Uyghur language website Selquin in 2009. In 2009, she was accused of using that website by the authorities to distribute information about demonstrations. And in an official reply regarding her case, the authorities said she had taken orders from the World Uyghur Congress to distribute information about the Uyghur people in China. The website was shut down after the riots in July, and the contents were deleted. On July 15th, Gulmira Imin was arrested on charges of separatism, sharing state secrets in phone calls to her husband in Norway, and disturbing public order. She was sentenced to life in prison in 2010. The prison that she is currently serving time in, Xinjiang prison, I want to say it clearly, has been documented as a forced labor camp, and there are reports that she was tortured and forced to sign documents without knowing the content. Her status is unknown. Her health in these especially dangerous times is unknown. We are working to make contact with her husband, and will keep all of you apprised of our progress. Her silence roars, as does the silence of all the writers in jail cells across the world. Let us sit and observe, please, a minute of silence in vigil with Gulmira Imin. And now, my friends, we are blessed to see and hear from our poets. Let's share some poetry. Here we are. It is my great pleasure to begin Free the Word with one of my very, very favorite word freers and writer freers of all. And this is our president of PEN International, the first woman ever to be president, Jennifer Clement. Award-winning and riveting author, poet, brilliant maestra, and luminous wise woman, Jennifer lives in Mexico and is a member, we are honored to say, of San Miguel PEN. Under her mighty, innovative leadership, the groundbreaking PEN International Women's Manifesto and the Democracy of the Imagination Manifesto were created. And if I sound starstruck, it's because I am, and we all should be. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Judyth, for those words. It's a true honor to read poetry with all of you. And I just want to give my condolences to those who may have lost loved ones in this pandemic. The poem I'm going to read, I wrote a few months ago at the beginning of the pandemic, thinking a lot about what has not happened. So it's a poem about what has not happened. And I just want to let you know the form is repetitive. So don't think that you're having a déjà vu. It's the way the poem goes. It's called Spring. 1. What did not happen, even when we exchanged eyes and then looked up to the branches, I learned what I knew. The field comes into the open window. I speak into the cup of your hand. Miss the places I've never been to. And even when I hear the morning train and everyone in my family thinks of Tolstoy, a song, or my father. 2. What did not happen, even when we exchanged eyes and then looked up to the branches, I learned what I knew. The field comes into the open window. I speak into the cup of your hand. Miss the places I've never been to. And even when I hear the morning train and everyone in my family thinks of Tolstoy, a song, or my father who held open the black umbrella for his daughter, and there was no rain. Thank you.
That poem has the beautiful repetitive energy of a ghazal with that twist in each repetition. Whew. And now to Slovenia, PEN, we welcome Dragica Charna, who is a Slovenian poet and aphorist who has lived and worked many years in Rome, Madrid, and now in Brussels. She is a healer and lover of flamenco dance. Welcome, Dragica.
Pozdravljeni, dragi moji, en velik objem ljubezni in luči iz Slovenije. My dears, hello from Slovenia to all of you. I send you hugs of love and light. I will present today the poem that I wrote for my mom some hours after she passed away during this time of coronavirus of lockdown. So I hope you will enjoy this poem of eternal love in the video. Thank you.
Ujela sem te, mama, na zadnji postaji, na zadnjem peronu, v zadnjem vagonu. Preden je odpeljal tvoj čas. Dopolnil se je trenutek, toliko desetletij skoraj, vse prisoten, da boš nekoč odšla, da bo nek dan tudi tvoj zadnji. Lepoto časa sem merila s tvojim nasmehom in v tvojih zelenih očih, ki so me občudovale, ljubile, bile name ponosne, tako kot nobene druge nikoli. Tam v njih je bil dom in moj svet. Bilo mi je dano te še zadnjič objeti, blagosloviti, tik pred vhodom v beli tunel, kjer je nate že čakal angel v belih oblačilih, da te pospremi tja, kamor te jaz nisem mogla več. Moja, 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 večna, neminljiva, najdražja mama.
We are so sorry for your loss, my friend, and thank you for this beautiful tribute, beauty measured. And these are words that you speak for people all over the world right now. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And now to Uganda, to the president of Ugandan PEN, we will hear a poem from Danson Kayana, who, as I said, is the president of Ugandan PEN, a member of the PEN International Board, which San Miguel PEN had the honor of nominating him for, and a senior lecturer in the Department of Literature at Makerere University in Uganda. Welcome, Danson.
Thank you so much, Judith. I'm so glad I'm part of this powerful event, and the poems I've listened to so far have been very, very touching. I have two short poems. The first one is entitled, I Know What Sex God Is. I know what sex God is. Who but a woman strives to feed her children and send them to school as their father sells himself to the bottle? Who but a woman suffers betrayal day after day and still dares to smile as if nothing is wrong despite her heartache? Who but a woman nurses a raped child like one begotten in a happy marriage, certain is an angel to be loved and protected? Who but a woman loves and nurtures another woman's child, the product of her husband's extramarital affair? Who but a woman cares for her murderer, he who infected her with HIV, and remains loyal to him even after death doth them part? Who but a woman forgives all the time, forgetting all the wrongs done unto her, and opening a fresh page every day that passes? This is why I proclaim it to the world that I know what sex God is, for only God as woman can love so dearly and forgive so graciously. The second poem is dedicated to Dr. Stella Nyanzi, who is with us in this webinar, and is entitled, When the Mother of Twins Turned Down Our Request. And I wrote it when she was still serving time in Luzira prison. And I'm so glad that because of the support given by all of you and by the PEN International Women's Committee in particular, she's now out and with us today. When the mother of twins turned down our request. We asked her to represent us in Parliament and heal the house of the diseases ailing it, but she did not grant us our wish, for she could not imagine sitting beside traitors who hardly debate anything worthwhile, wired as they are to defend the status quo. We asked her to do us the honor of ridding the house of mediocrity by unmeeting it with intelligent arguments, but she turned down our request, for she feared being counted among zombies who care nothing about honor and trust. We asked her to be our commander-in-chief and lead us in smoking vipers and cobras out of the nooks and crannies of our country, but she refused to heed our cry, arguing that we have the power to boot out the brood and return the nation to the safety it deserves. We asked her to teach us how to be brave, that we may defend our inalienable rights and reverse the deadly trend of enslavement, being bribed to part away with our liberty as we chant slogans that glorify our terrorizer and entrench tyranny and autocracy. At last, she relented and smiled at us, happy we had seen her principal point. For if a people are told to fight bravely, they will not tolerate nonsense from anybody, be it a general who thinks himself invisible or a fool who mistakes bribery for patriotism. Thank you.
Thank you, Danson, for your passionate, resounding voice for women and for justice. It is my great pleasure now to move to Argentina, where I am so happy to introduce Gwendolyn Diaz-Ridgway, who is the coordinator of the Women's Writers Committee of Centro Pen, Argentina. Gwendolyn writes fiction, essays, and poetry, is a professor of comparative literature, a mentor to aspiring writers, and conducts webinars on science and literature. Welcome, Gwendolyn.
Greetings from Penn, Argentina. I wrote this prose poem inspired by an essay by Arundhati Roy that many of you may have read that she wrote regarding COVID-19. It's titled, The Portal. She opened the door, and as she took the first step into the garden, she smelled the sweet scent of jasmine. The hydrangeas bloomed full of presence, blue, violet, pink, complete in their roundness. The scent of jasmine led her through the garden as if leading her by the hand down a path. She began to feel lighter. She would leave behind the hopelessness. Outside, among the flowers, under the blue sky, she no longer felt alone. Toward the back of the garden, the scent of jasmine gave way to the aroma of lavender. Beneath the weeping willow, where she had seen the rope, a purple carpet of lavender spread out, beckoning her to step in. It was around there where she had seen the portal. She suspected the dark hollow in the stone wall at the end of the field was the portal of her dreams, the portal to tomorrow, the barren yesterdays she would leave behind. Her heart felt beating to the rhythm of the stars. Nothing kept her tethered to this side. The rush of another kind of life streamed through her veins. It was time to take flight, to become particle again, to become wave, to vibrate in space until a comet flew and mount its tail toward the whirling rings of Saturn. From there, a ray of sun would fling her through space until she reached the Southern Cross. Perched on the cross-shaped constellation, she would find rest. They found her under the weeping willow, a listless body. No one heard the sound of a heartbeat that seemed to flow from a dark hollow in the stone wall. Thank you.
to become particle, to become wave. I really love hearing how poetry is the subfloor of science. Thank you, Gwendolyn. And now we have the pleasure of going to Canada to hear poetry from Diane Regimbald. Diane is a poet and the coordinator of the Women's Writers Committee of Centre Québécois. And we will now enjoy her poetry. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you very much, Judith. I'm so happy to be here and to hear you and to read a poem for you. I will read first of all in French and after in English, extract from L'insensé rayonne, Madness Beams Worth, translation Antonio D'Alfonso. L'inquiétude 2. For Haïti. Corps devant, tu ne cèdes pas. Tu tiens seul les câbles, un fil du ciel cassé. Comment maintenir cela? Tu dresses les apparats, rougis devant la beauté, vains les plaies. Comment tenir en terre grondée, fracassée? Corps dansant dans les failles, cherche racine. Qui garde le rêve, traverse la vie, main tendue. Qui est debout malgré les chairs perdues, englouti dans la langue, happé par les cris. On est en ferraille décrépite, langue battue sur le flanc, eau crevée des formes. Toute faille signe les feux que renferment nos poisons vivants, mais un sourire éblouit les vents. Vivre sera magnitude. Voilà debout le fil, de la voix le fil, qui retient les heures. Laisse-le œuvrer, reprendre seul, les corps dressés, fort le chant. Anxiety 2, body in front, you won't give up. You alone are pulling on the ropes, a thread of sky snaps. How to keep holding, you groom the regalia, you blush in front of beauty, you strike the yawns. How to stand straight on the earth, punished, shattered. The body dances on cracks, looking for roots. He who keeps a dream walks through the dreams, fingers outstretched. He who stands amid scattered chairs, plummeting in language, ensnared by screams. We walking through a pile of scrap, tongue whipping the flank, broken bones, frames. All fault signals fire, which our living poisons entrap. Yet a smile blazes out of the wind. Living will be magnitude. Standing there, the thread of a voice, the thread, holding back time. Let it work. Dig into the ground. The bodies are erect, drilling a song. Merci beaucoup.
The body dances on cracks looking for roots. And these poems are really, really beautiful and interesting on the page, which will be very exciting for everyone to see because we're going to do an ebook of these poems and of this reading, and you'll all get to enjoy these poems again and again, which I know we all are. It's so interesting. The poem goes by so fast, and yet they're so deep and rich, and they make a little seat in our hearts. Now we're going to go to London, England. I think we're in London, England. We're going to hear from a member of the PEN International Women's Writers Committee, our own Sarah Lawson, member of English PEN. Sarah was born in Indiana And now, yes, she lives in London where she writes and translates, and she has translated Christine de Pizan from medieval French for Penguin Classics. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. My poem is called A Friend from Home. Even if I lived on Mars for years and had good friends and liked my work and learned to eat the food, any Earth person would look like a blood relation to me. This human, who might come from any room of our common home, would speak with vocal cords in the human way, would know firsthand about ears and eyebrows. We would fall into each other's arms in front of the startled Martians. Any news of home would be of interest. We would have our little private jokes about the Pacific Ocean or oxygen. If we didn't share a language, we would gesture and draw pictures, the Martians looking over our shoulders and shrugging to each other. I would ask about trees. We would draw leaves and seeds and shout with recognition. We would draw birds' nests in the trees and slap each other on the back. Our Martian friends would sigh and give each other looks and say, these Earth people, when they get together, they always act this way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And doesn't every woman need a room of our common home? Thanks, Sarah. Now to Germany to hear from Regula Fenske, a writer, poet, and the president of German Pen. Regula lives in Hamburg. Welcome, Regula.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here with you and to be able to see you and to meet this way. I'm going to read a poem which has the title, Behold My Brother, and I owe the title to a line by Leonora Carrington. Voilà mon frère qui vient me délivrer des pères. Leonora Carrington. Behold my brother who's come to deliver me from the patriarchs. Every girl wants to marry her father, they say, but only the lucky ones, those who did not get raped, were not deserted, ignored, left alone. Behold my brother who is come to deliver me from my brothers, who lends me his trousers, lets me walk in his boots. He who doesn't talk of his honor, but of my wisdom and freedom instead. Behold my brother, who's come to deliver me from my suitors, who chases away the lecherous and stands guard while I'm taking a bath. But only if I ask him to, because he knows it's none of his business. Every little girl wants to marry her brother, they say, but only the lucky ones, those who did not get stabbed with a knife, burnt alive, or otherwise killed. The ones whose brothers don't take their sister's hymen for a commodity. Behold my brother who has come to deliver me from my husband's, who welcomes me at his dinner table and listens to my story till midnight. He whose advice I easily follow, fort mit Schaden, go send him to hell. Behold my brother who's come to deliver me from my sons. One mother can feed 7 sons, they say, but 7 sons cannot take care of one mother. Behold my brother who's come to deliver me from himself. Don't cling to me, little sister, he says. Lo and behold my brother, who's come to deliver me from myself. Or should I rather attempt this on my own? Thank you.
Thank you for that fierce and sassy poem, Rigola. And now, San Miguel Pen, which is deeply represented today, I'm proud to say, we go to hear a poem from Signa Hammer. Signa is also a member of PEN America. Her poems have appeared in the US and online, and she has read many, many times for us in San Miguel de Allende and in New York City and other venues. Welcome, Signa.
Hello, thank you. Two short non-COVID lockdown poems. The New York Times recognizes global warming. Nobody else I knew had seen the map of the end of the world, where polar bears swim and starve, and the Inuit don't have a word for the first bird once of our spring. The lurid colors of the map, page 1, upper right, might have caught our eye if we'd been home, but it was Saturday and we were out. As the eye moves north, the colors of the map grow hot. Our seasons used to roll with the globe, but robins winter now in Central Park. Do the Inuit up in the Arctic Circle think, seeing that brand new bird, oh, spring at last? They and the polar bears require cold, return of which, unlikely now the map's been drawn with no cool colors on it, depends on nothing they can do. Down here, we keep forgetting day to day the reasons why cold matters. We're calculating opportunity, shipping channels, seabed minerals, and plausible deniability. One-winged raptors. They're built for flight, wrapped in the sight or smell or sound of prey, they dive. At 100 miles an hour, razor-sharp telephone wire slices a wing like butter. They're not designed for land or common sense or making the most of a bad situation. Landlocked, they're wrapped in flight. The short-eared owl, held on the Jess, launches itself on one great wing and falls, grabs the glove, flaps futilely upside down until the ornithologist hauls it up over and over again. She thinks these birds are dumb because they can't seem to learn they can't fly. You could say they suffer the fate of all great specialists whose specialty is taken from them. You could also say that any animal lost in the rapture of the deep will never come to rest. The shark, finless, swims tirelessly with its whole body. The sleeping paraplegic dreams of running. Thank you.
Thank you for these poems that are a call to action. And thank you for being a voice for our earth and our beloved creatures. Thank you, Signa. Now we go back to Central PEN, Argentina, to hear poems from Claudia Ferradas. She is also a member of their Women's Writers Committee. She is a poet, a singer, a professor of Anglophone literature, and she has taught in 22 countries. Welcome, Claudia.
Hello from Buenos Aires. It's a real privilege to be sharing this event with you today. I'm going to be reading a poem in my mother tongue, in Spanish, and another one in English. The one in Spanish is called Statistics, Estadísticas, and of course it's got to do with the COVID statistics we read in the papers every night. Estadísticas. Como todas las noches, leo el informe. Muertes, contagios, pacientes ya curados, cifras y porcentajes. Mi obstinación busca en la curva roja que se eleva algún rastro de instantes compartidos, gestos, amores sin una despedida. Los números anónimos carcomen los cimientos hasta desmoronarnos. Levanto uno por uno los escombros de tantas estadísticas, hurgando en los restos del derrumbe, en el silencio sólido, me oyen gritar tu nombre. In hope. Blowing dandelions, as my grandmother taught me, air to air, as will be dust to dust. Pregnant with the 3 wishes I've requested, the light breeze cradles them like insubstantial changelings. In the background, a lullaby of Mozart's Lacrimosa, sung by a red-haired girl at the open window of a charity sale. A little transient miracle of beauty, a soft, warm dressing for hopelessness and loss. Where do lost wishes go? Where are they stored? Where innocence lies grieving? Where hope weaves stubborn threads to stitch together the fragments of our faith? May my wishes take roots, or, windborne, travel far, where they can find you, where soul meets soul, where we blend into oneness to fertilize the soil with a new story, breathing new life on dandelion seeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this poem, those poems, and that poem that seeds a lullaby of hope for us, Claudia. And coming to us from San Miguel de Allende, we have the poet Catherine Merengue. She is an award-winning poet and a memoirist, and she has a new book, Breaking Bread Poems. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Judith. Buen dia. It's good to be with you all today. This poem takes as its title a very famous line from Dante's Divina Commedia. The poet emerges from hell and says, "E quindi uscimmo a rivedere le stelle." And then we came out to see once more the stars. A tiny thing, a particle, a protein anointed in oil, bearing a studded crown, declared its global coronation, ordained by the laying on of hands. And suddenly we learn it was all unnecessary. The daily errand, seemingly urgent, meetings, interviews, presentations, the early morning train, stadiums filled for sport or concert, gatherings around our glittering tables, daily appointments stacked as neatly as firewood in our calendars, our precious devices. None of them, it seems, ever required us. We barely remember now what was so important. We marked our calendars for it. And when the streets are emptied of us, that will be the time to keep our appointment with what has always been waiting. Then we will lean from our windows or simply close our eyes and see again and see for the first time the unrelenting stars. I seem to have taken to writing haikus during the pandemic, and here are 5. 1, the more confined, the more we see. Crown of thorns petals form in groups of 8. 2, I've learned exquisite sounds. Honed knife, slivers Tuscan kale on teak breadboard. 3, hummingbirds still feed their fully grown young, reaching into tender throats. 4, thousands dead, hard to grasp. Here's what hits hard. 1 COVID patient we know. 5, and will we ever kiss again? Danger lurks in each caress, yet we love. Thank you.
Yet we love. Thank you for these poems that reimagine for us this experience, which is really deeply the job of poetry. And I applaud this. Now we go to Finland to hear poems from Vera Dustila. Vera, who is the president of Finnish Pen, is a Finnish playwright and screenwriter, a student of political history. And you're on, my friend. Welcome, Vera.
Thank you, Judyth. And I wish strength for all of you. It's very, very great honor to be one of you here today. I will first read in Finnish, and then I will read the translation by Susan Heiskanen. Lapseni murisee ja räyhää. Nänni on nenänpäätä vasten, ja hän päästelee ärräpäitä, pienen miehen perkeleitä, vatkaa päätä puolelta toiselle epätoivon elein. Pieni kyyner, yksi ihan ensimmäisistä, valuu punertuvaa poskea pitkin. Dramaattinen alahuuli vapisee. Äkäiset potkut pudottavat pöksyt jalasta. Kunnes telakoituminen tapahtuu. Leuat loksahtavat kitana lukkoon. Muutama kiireinen imaisu. Paksujen poskien läpi lutkutus. Ja rähmäiset silmät räpsähtävät auki. Hän katsoo hämmentyneenä, uteliaana, kohti epämääräisen sumeaa maailmaa ja silittää äitiä tulitikun kokoisin sormi. And the translation. My child growls and roars, nipple against nose. He cusses a small man's 4-letter words, tosses his head this way and that in gestures of despair. One small tear, one of the first, runs down his reddening cheek. The dramatic lower lip quivers. Angry kicks knock out the pants. Until, docking successful, jaws snap locked. A few quick sucks, guzzles through rosy cheeks, and the gummy eyes flash open. Confused and curious, he looks towards an obscure world and strokes mommy with fingers no larger than a match. Thank you.
Tenderness enveloped in a powerhouse voice. This is our range as poets. Ah, yes. And now we shall go again to the Penn Center of Quebecois. And we will hear from the poet Louise Dupré, poet and novelist. She lives in Montreal and has published more than 20 books in French. Welcome, Louise.
Thank you very much, Judith. I am very happy to be here this afternoon. I will read one poem, first in French and after in English. The English translation is by Karen McPherson, an American poet and translator. Une voix, une seule voix qui pleure tout près, et nous revient à la mémoire la détresse du monde, rejetée le long du corps tels des doigts dénudés, incapables de cacher les yeux, d'essuyer la joue. Nuit immense jetée sur nos épaules à nous, incroyants, qui avons pourtant appris il y a longtemps à répondre à l'appel. Et l'on apporte nos fragilités et quelques psaumes pour voir à nouveau des rires sur les lèvres et nos filles plus robustes que des croix. On ouvre les bras, oui, poème, liberté, minuscule, consolation. A voice, a single voice weeping, right up close, and we are reminded of the world's distress, thrown back along the body like naked fingers, unable to hide our eyes, to wipe our cheek. Immensity of a night hurled onto our shoulders. We, the unbelievers, who even so learned long ago to answer the call. And we bring along our fragility and some songs, so there may be again laughter on our lips, and our daughters sturdier than crosses. We open our arms, yes, poem, liberty, minuscule consolation. Thank you.
Here I am. Louise's poems were so gorgeous, even Google Translate did a beautiful job on them. Thank you, Louise. And coming to us again from our San Miguel pen, we have the poet Subaleka, born in India, and as she tells us, raised by the rest of the world. Subaleka works at the intersection of systems and empathy, sharing a belief that the world is abundant and a home with kindness, dignity, and bravery for all. Welcome, Subaleka.
Thank you, Judith. I have 3 short poems to read. The first one is Village Girl. I come from a land of warrior queens. I grew up walking barefoot on the sun-scorched land. I ate with my hands, tasting the earth on my fingers with every bite. I slept naked on the monsoon-soaked terracotta tiles with Orion's belt shining as my roof. I have dug for water in drought and seen snakes swim in floods. I have cried lost in crowds and screamed into the night from running trains. I have laughed with hawkers selling wares and played with dirt in unforgiving ways. I have lived many lives and loved many to the moon and back. You say I feel too much and love too soon, and you dare say my hair is too wild. Darling, haven't you lived long to know there's no taming a tigress? My second poem is My Mother Said. I was raised to believe love is devotion, love from one another, your family, your fellow beings, and above all, your beloved. It all hinged on that one thing, the value of giving. I was told a guest is a god in human form, and true love is surrender. I was not taught to ask, what can a situation do for me, but rather, how can I nurture it and leave it better than I found it? And now I am to understand that security is giving myself in pieces to many whilst guarding my precious heart for lest it be broken. Get the fuck out of here. If to be human here today is to live in fear and find comfort in guarding ourselves and our tiny little tribes, then let me be a tree, that which loves and lives, bearing fruits and flowers, even when you take an axe to it too many times. Piffed. Your current collective social rules hold no water to the deeply soaked ancient wisdom in me. Haven't you seen my skin glow in the sun? Even he loves me. You say technology has made humans live and love in the gray. I'm afraid it's we who create our own monsters. And this child of sun bows to no one. Your so-called modern society can call me strange. She can bleed me dry. The red of my blood will still speak love. My last one. Let's take me. Let's take me, shall we? Let's rip what we can't sew back. All the things that can't be. Let's take me. Let's look under the flesh, shall we? Let's do the things we are told not to, the sins that can't be. Let's take me. Let's swallow what we can, shall we? The black of my eyes and the brown of my skin. Let's devour all that we shouldn't be. Let's swallow me. Let's take me, shall we? Your breath breaks me. My blood fills thee. While we deny that we seek, let's take me. Thank you.
Ow! Yes, we are ecstatic to take you into our community, our wild tigress. And now we get to go back to Penn, Argentina. Look at all the amazing poets they have in their center. And we will hear a poem from Sylvia Leonor Snyder-Manis. She is also a member of the Argentinian Penn Women's Writers Committee. Sylvia is a professor of English literature at the Universidad Nacional de San Martín with degrees in English literature and film studies. Welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you very much. I am very honored to be here. Thank you all. I will read two poems, one in English, which is called Words, Words, and it's about silence and voicelessness. The second poem will be in Spanish, and I have metaphorically taken the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the serpent which has been doomed to a world of obscurity and fear. This is my first poem. My body is yelling to express those words that are stuck within me. Threads that weave letters and compose feelings, struggling to utter what cannot be said. The silence withers the words that speak to me. Maybe there, somewhere in the deep forest that protects my body with branches that cover and do not allow the world to hurt me, that will be home itself, where I need to be. Words, words that flow like rivers and streams. I only want to express the inexpressible with my own words. La serpiente del jardín del Edén. ¿Por qué te habrán difamado, criatura brillante, glamorosa, que repta por las junglas y los pantanos, casi en silencio, oculta, serpiente inofensiva, temerosa? ¿Por qué ese juicio? ¿Cuál es tu pena? ¿Qué voz te acusó por destruir el jardín del Edén? ¿Será para que sigas errando cautiva, oculta en la oscuridad del día, escapando de la mirada humana que te condena, atrapada, perseguida, odiada, temida, víctima en el jardín del Edén y víctima del hombre. ¿Cuándo será tu redención? Te libero del pecado original. Sos la fuerza de la vida y de la rebelión. Aquí estoy yo, para que el mundo te observe. Te pienso, te reivindico, te reinvento. Gracias. Thank you very much.
Lyrical social activism and a revisionist Eden. Go Sylvia. I want to tell everyone now, you know, we are now live actually on Facebook, and I want to welcome our Facebook audience and tell you that you are listening to Free the Word from the PEN International Women's Writers Committee, and you are listening to poets from 9 countries, many languages, all from PEN centers. So welcome everyone who has joined us, and here we are. And now I am going to welcome Inga Gaile, an award-winning Latvian poet, prose writer, playwright, performance artist, and theater director. Inga explores with her unique brand of humor inner states of being, her own experiences, and the everyday lives of women and stigmatized groups of society, while always promoting equal rights. And Inga is the president of Latvian PEN. Welcome, Inga.
Thank you, Judyth. And hello, everyone. I will read one poem, which is called Easter, which is written originally in Latvian and now is translated into English by Eva Leshinska. So, yes, Easter. Imagine that you are a homosexual man in Uganda or a graying merchant of doves in Jerusalem, one moment before everything is fulfilled. Imagine that you are a child seeing from the dark of the past, your parents lying about your death. Imagine that you are this child's mother, who has experienced something worse than hearing that her man is her 10-year-old daughter's husband. Imagine that you are a woman in India, thrown off the bus along with her boyfriend. Imagine what grows there along the side of the road, what roots, what little bugs crawl over you, the throbbing of your life at the tips of your fingers, at the ends of your hair, while your soul remains silent. Your soul remains silent. Little cat's feet of blood, the sinewy arm of your lover, the sun's sweltering caress, you open your eyes. Red mist under one eyelid. A road stretches into the distance. In the sultry heat, it looks as if someone is coming. Red mist coats the eyelid. Children flutter above the dust clouds. People gather to take a look at who is the fallen today. People gather, a stone under every arm. Little cat's feet of blood, the sinewy arm of your lover, the sun's sweltering caress, your shadow leaning over you. Too early, too early, too early. A black shadow falls from the cross, the sun cannot get through. A little breath for your final moan. 3 days pass, silence. Next to a body covered with stones stands a murderer's mother. Imagine that it happens daily. Nails, bones, vinegar, moans. From the dark you have entered this wedding. From the dark you have entered this wedding, and no one looks you in the eye. Not enough time remains to throw you out. Past crosses on windows, everyone buy provisions for the apocalypse. You listen. Somewhere in the billowy distance, 4 winds are harnessed by lightning. Thank you very much.
That poem is a lightning strike. Ow. Thank you, Inga. Now we're going to hear a poem from one of our real beloveds in Penn International, Salil Tripathi. Salil was born in India, residing in New York City. He is the hardworking chair of the Penn International Writers in Prison Committee. He's a member of Penn American Center and English Penn. Salil writes poetry in prose, in Gujarati and English. And this poem that you're going to hear today, he wrote for the launch of the memoir of the famous Indian writer Shobhar at Shobharday's request. Welcome, Salil.
Thank you very much. It's a long poem and I'm going to read parts of it to keep to the time, but it's basically about what men like to do, which is to tell women what to do and what women actually do. Don't use your cell phones on the streets of Parwai in Uttar Pradesh. And don't make futile small talk on cell phone if you're only a housewife. And don't watch item number songs on your phone in your TV in Madhya Pradesh. And don't dance at weddings in Salumbur ever in your life. And don't go to the bathroom alone if you're born under the sign of Aries. And don't be alone with your father if you're born under Capricorn. And don't try to look like Sharmila Tagore in an evening in Paris. And don't go on the internet and watch evil Western blue porn. And don't eat chow mein in Haryana. Keep your hormones in balance. And don't wear a skirt in Chandigarh, nor a miniskirt in Baraut. And don't text a boy from your class and avoid any dalliance. And don't watch any film which has Kangana Ranaut. And don't go in Bangalore to dance in those pubs. And don't read textbooks in Mumbai on sex education. And don't go to parties late night in suburbs. And don't exchange addresses with boys you meet on vacation. And don't eat any non-veg food in Bihar. And don't wear your heels so high. And don't get in with strangers in a car. And don't take a ride on a motorbike with a guy. And don't wear those tight jeans, and don't wear those short shorts, and don't talk to boys in canteens, and don't take part in any sport. And don't live in cities, and don't see ads for condoms, and don't dance in public, and don't talk to strangers, and don't ignore your husband, and don't ever ride in a public bus at night, and don't take an auto rickshaw with 3 men, and don't stay out after 8, and don't loiter, because boys will be boys. So, you designed a rocket that pierces the sky one day, like Ritu, Anuradha, and Nandini did. And draft the declaration that proclaims rights for all, like Eleanor and Hansa did. And heal the sick and the wounded in camps, like Florence did. And sing the songs of lions, heard long after the hunters have gone, like Kartika did. And march for the right to vote, like Mary and Emmeline did. And unite the women like Susan and Ella did. And afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted like Arundhati did. And speak when you want. Out of turn, let fires burn. In your tone, you're not alone. Sometimes loud, silencing a crowd. In your face, yet full of grace. And you show that Kali can kill and Draupadi can strip and Sita can sit on a stranger's lap, as Meena did. And you sit where you want in the bus in your town, like Rosa did. And you insist on what is right and defy crayon to bury your brother, the hero, like Antigone did. And you discover the meaning of life, like Kisa Gautami did. And you do what you do, not because you are a sister, mother, daughter, wife, or lover, but because you are who you are, you. And so, this is for you. Thank you.
Well, Saraswati and I are applauding loudly. Thank you for this cross-cultural, cross-global, cross-time rap, Salil. Now we go to our beautiful friend, the poet Toon from Penn, Myanmar. Toon writes poems to set herself free. Welcome, Toon.
Mingalaba. Hello from Myanmar, everyone. Today, I will read a poem I've written called Free. Free. It took 43 years to love myself again, looking in the mirror and able to see the true me, not the one distorted and deformed in my eyes. No, not that one. What happened had happened. There is nothing of which to complain and nothing to explain, also nothing for which to blame. Yes, I can forgive today. Yes, I can move on now, and all the gratitude, well, stay. No matter what, I start to trust myself. I start to trust my choice. I am determined to live my life. 47 tomorrow, and don't feel late to begin again. Never be too late to be happy. Never be too late to feel alive. I can change my past, and I'm changing my future. Though it was not easy, I know I'm the one who is responsible to set myself free. This is June, and I've written this poem on 25th August 2019, 2:51 p.m. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for modeling Speaking Truth to Personal Power, Tune. Thank you for that very, very brave poem. And bringing us on home quite perfectly is Stella Nyanzi, our famous and infamous Ugandan poem activist, academic, recently imprisoned and thankfully released for posting poems on Facebook critical of the president of Uganda. Oh, the power of the poem! Stella's passion and clarity will complete our program today. Stella Nyanzi courageously meets outrage with the outrageous. Welcome, Stella.
Right, I'm delighted to be here. I want to thank everybody here who stood with me when I was in prison. It's a delight not to be writing or reading from prison, but to be reading with other women writers. I celebrate all of you. And I thank Danson Kahiana for the dedication of the poem that he read. I'm going to read a poem out of the 160 poems I wrote and published while in prison. This one says, wear your lipstick powerfully. Warrior of free speech and truth, wear your lipstick shamelessly. Defender of voice and free expression, wear your lipstick as war paint. Take time with your lip enhancer, top it up with lip gloss, shine those lips with petroleum jelly. Color is my signifier. Different shades meaning different things, scarlet for passionate commitment, crimson for boldness amidst fear, maroon for courage on bad days, those bad days, purple to bring home my royalty, black to enhance my fierceness, bright blue to astound my haters, nude when being vulnerable, even orange for sex appeal, pout, baby pout. Your lips are carriers of sharp words. Your lips convey hot messages. Your lips change history. Your lips make things happen. Your lips bend the hearts of rulers. Your words burn like acid. So color your mouth brightly. Let your lips be conspicuous. Let them stand out from the crowd. Wear your lipstick artistically, for your lips bear dangerous, potent truths. Thank you.
Woo! Que viva! Que mujer! Que hermana! Oh, how delicious! How amazing! What amazing poetry today, yes? This is phenomenal. And now, because we're all so excited, I'm going to take this giddy, terrific moment to announce 2 new collaborative pen projects coming to you from the PEN International Women's Writers Committee and the PEN International Writers in Prison Committee. First, we are going to be collaborating to continue this incredibly terrific event and to stay in this amazing superpower that we in our community have of poetry. We are going to continue producing a series of Free the Word Poetry Gone Viral, which, as our chair of the Women's Writers Committee has said, we're going to maintain a poetry vigil throughout this time where we are separated. We are going to keep uniting our community in poetry. So keep watch, because we will be sending out submissions for our events. And second, drum roll, we are going to be beginning a new project called 5 Stanzas for Freedom. And what we're going to be doing, this was based on a beautiful project that we saw PEN Norway doing with the poet Ilan Chomak, who is in prison, the Kurdish poet Ilan Chomak. And what we're going to be doing is having poets who are free, the free poets out of prison in PEN, writing an ignition set of stanzas that will go to a poet in prison, who will then write the ending, and then the poet in prison can write the ignition stanzas and send them to the free poet. And then we will hopefully have many readings with the poets who are free reading these poems and produce an anthology. Now, I know that there's going to be poets, because Salil spoke to me about this, for whom this may not be possible. So we know to be granular and start where we can. And if this is about getting paper and pens to poets in prison, then so be it. We will do what we can. But to be in contact, to be in real contact with our poets and our writers in prison, this is going to be our new effort. Because that's what I love about PEN International. We try. We try. And sometimes that's the best you can give. So let's see. Is it time yet for virtual roses and champagne? I think it is. I think it is. And therefore, it is time to express our enormous gratitude to our administrative superstars, Olha Muka, and to our new rising superstar, Portia Vanderplank Jones. Thank you, thank you, thank you with all our hearts. Without your devotion, your patience, and your staying up till midnight trying everything, including showing up on Facebook by surprise, we could not have done this. And we all the poets, wish to thank Tina Bika from San Miguel, who was our technical director, who advised us and who has helped us produce this event so magnificently. And then I wish to thank all of you, your poets, for bringing your voices together in craft, in lyrical beauty, in fierceness for justice, and to be part of making the world the way we dearly, dearly wish it will be. Freedom of expression and imagination for all. And now it is my great delight to, and of course, for their vision and dedication, I want to thank the PEN International Women's Writers Committee, and I want to thank Zoe Rodriguez for leading us into this, Lucina Kaufman, my mentor, my teacher, the PEN goddess, and our wonderful Sarah Lawson, Tanya Tuma, who I know you all saw her magnificent panel today, which she worked incredibly hard on. And Kathleen Kaldma, all of you women, I thank you so much for showing up all those crazy Tuesdays in the middle of the night or early in the morning for the last 3 months with our Olha to produce this event for you. And now, Now that we have joined our voices in creating global witness in beauty, we're going to close Free the Word by remembering the voice we did not hear of Gulmira Imin, the voice that we long to hear. And we hope all of you who are now meeting PEN International will find your PEN. Find your PEN center. We're going to put all the links to PEN International, to San Miguel PEN, and give you my email so that you can contact us to find your PEN, join your PEN, take part in one of our Free the Words, and to take part in 5 Stanzas for Freedom. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the PEN International Women's Writers Committee Chair, our own Zoe Rodriguez, who will close our gathering. Welcome, Zoe.
Good evening. It seems so strange to be sitting here in my lounge room at 10 to 1 in the morning, talking to friends across the world. The beauty of digital technology is I see so many faces that are familiar. I'm sad we can't meet in person, but gee, this is pretty good. We have created a very special event here, I think. We have led PEN International into this virtual wonderland, bringing people, bringing members as well as committee chairs and board members together. Distance couldn't stop us. Time zones couldn't stop us. A pandemic, a 1 in 100-year pandemic could not stop us. I want to thank Olha and Portia very heartily again. They have been extraordinary. We would have had bedlam without them. I want to thank my fellow members of the Women Writers Committee. You've been terrific. You've gone on this crazy adventure with me when I insisted that we had to do this, and not just gone along. You've been so enthusiastic and you've taken this event into really exciting and proper places for our committee. I hope this is the beginning of many. The poetry sessions, I'm certain they help in these times. I truly believe that, and I mean that when I say a vigil through poetry. Many of you will know my mother was a poet, and poetry readings are something that are definitely part of my life. And I'm so pleased we can share this sort of event with people across the world. I want to thank all the panelists across these 2 nights, for me, days, mornings. And I very much want to thank the poets that were reading tonight. What a diversity, how far we traveled geographically as we listened to you, but also emotionally, intellectually. So this is one of many. Thank you very much all. I am soon going to go to bed because it's late, but I wanted to close this by saying, well, we'll have details of future events up and around soon to everybody who's registered, to the Women Writers Committee website, all of those practical things. The presentations that people gave, they will be made available. The wonderful video from Stella Nyanzi, that was our opening keynote address yesterday. Stella, wow, I don't think we could have hoped for better. And how great we have it and we can share it with people in an ongoing way. Of all the people I must thank most for the whole event, it is Lucina. She is just this powerhouse behind the Women Writers Committee, in front of the Women Writers Committee, above, below, everywhere. She's terrific. And I know if we were in person, there'd be a standing ovation. And for the poetry, Judyth, wonderful, thank you. And I wish to close this first virtual PEN International Women Writers Committee meeting by quoting one line from one of my mother's poems that she read in Lviv, that she wrote in Lviv. And I think it's true now, I think it's true through life. All we can do in the darkness is shine. Thank you.